Whenever you're buying coffee beans, it can get a little bit overwhelming with all of the information on varieties, countries, processes. So what we thought we'd do was give you a short guide on how to buy coffee beans for home. So in most cases we have single origin coffee, and that will tell you the country that it was grown in, the farm or co-op where it was produced, and then also the process that the coffee went through, and sometimes even the variety of coffee that it is. It'll also have a roast date on it, and that gives you most of the information you need to know. The other side of that is when we have a blend, and what some people don't realize is that a blend is actually just a mix of different types of single origin coffees. So this Malarkey blend, for instance, has the 3 different types of coffee that make up that blend. So single origins can be a little bit more one-dimensional, but they can have more nuance to them, and blends tend to be a bit more all-encompassing and have fuller flavors. Neither is better than the other. They're both usable for all different types of brewing methods, and they're all delicious. So all of our coffees will have a roast date on them. Now, don't be too focused on getting the freshest coffee. There'll always be fresh coffee available, but if you're using coffee for espresso, say, you'd want to get something that's rested maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks, and that means that it's had time to degas and it'll work a little bit better for espresso. So the freshest stuff is great if you want it the day after roasting. That's great if you're going to go on holidays, but if it's had a little bit of time to rest, it'll always taste a little bit better and it'll be easier to extract. Now, the first thing I always look for when I buy coffee is what process the coffee is, but it's not something that most people understand very well. So let's give you a quick guide. This is a naturally processed coffee. A natural process means that the cherries have been sun-dried, so you get something that's very deep and unctuous and gloopy and viscous, very kind of more heavier coffees, lots of body. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you get wash coffees, and these coffees tend to be more clean and delicate, more acidic, more nuanced, a little bit more refined, say, and a lot less body. Now, in between these two processes, you have a wide range of ways that coffee can be processed. This one, for example, is a red honey process. Now, those processes slide up and then the scale between closer to natural or closer to wash, but they're somewhere in between. So as long as you understand what natural processing brings and what wash processing brings, the ones in between you can, I suppose, consider as somewhere in between. Now, one final thing to be aware is the more experimental lots. So sometimes you'll see things like anaerobic processing or lactic fermentation or things like this. If a coffee is a more experimental processing method, just expect it to be a little bit wild. It will always be good, but there's a good chance you might not like it. This is our decaf coffee. Now, it goes through what's called a sugarcane processing, which is not as detrimental to the coffee as previous decaffeination processes would have been. It's delicious, it constantly surprises people, and it's available all year round in all of our locations, so you should definitely check that out. Another one for you to consider if you're not so keen on caffeine is this, which is the Lightweight Champion. Now, Lightweight Champion is a blend. It's a blend that's 50% decaf and 50% something else. This is also available all year round. So if you don't want to go full decaf, but you definitely want to cut down, this is the one for you. So if you're going through a lot of coffee, then what you need to know is that on all kilo bags, we've already marked off 10% of the price. So there's a 10% discount if you're buying a kilo of coffee. Now, what if we don't have a kilo of the coffee that you want? Well, you can take 4 250 gram bags and we'll mark 10% off at the till. So you get 10% off if you're buying a kilo. And what else is really cool about this is that you can buy 4 different bags and we'll still knock 10% off. So as long as you're buying a kilo, you'll get a discount. All of our bags come with a resealable top on them. So once you've finished using whatever coffee you need to brew, what we'd advise you to do is push all of the air out as much as possible. Squeeze it all out so that there's no oxygen left in the bag, and then reseal it. And this will make sure that your coffee lasts a little bit longer. As well as that, if you're using kilos, we also have the resealable top on it. And this is especially important because you've got more coffee. You're going to be using this bag over a longer period of time. So make sure, again, you squeeze everything out, get the reseal here, slide that along with that, and your coffee will stay fresher for longer. If you don't have a coffee grinder at home, don't worry. Just tell our staff how you like to brew coffee at home. They'll choose the grind setting, they'll grind the coffee for you, they'll seal it all up, and you'll be good to go. Whenever you buy a coffee and you take it home, just be sure to take a picture of the label. So whenever you come back next, you can tell us if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you hated it, and we'll be able to advise you on what coffee to get next. So another good way to get a discount on coffee is to bring your own container. So you can bring a box, you can bring a bag, you can bring a shoe, whatever you bring, we'll put coffee in it. So you can buy 250 grams or a kilo, whatever, you'll get 10% off. We also sell these, which are poker bags. So the poker bag is a reusable coffee bag. So coffee goes in there, and you stick this on here and slides across. And then what you have is it doesn't let any air in, but if you squeeze it, it still lets the coffee degas, you can get that smell of the coffee out of it. So it's a really good way to store coffee at home. And when you're finished, bring it back in, we refill it, and you get 10% off. A lot of our favorite roasters have two different roast profiles. They roast for espresso and they roast for filter, and that's cool. But we use omni roasting, and omni roasting means that the profile we use is suitable for all brewing methods. So whenever you buy coffee from us, you can use it for filter or for espresso. You don't need to pick or choose either one. Further down the label, you'll see some tasting notes, and these are put together by the guys at the coffee roastery. Now, this is not a test. You're not supposed to get what they get. This is all very subjective. Your job is to enjoy the coffee. It's just giving you an indication of what the coffee can taste like. If you have any more questions, just ask the staff and they'll give you their opinion too. Another good way to help you decide what coffee you should buy is to ask somebody. So our staff are always more than happy to help you with your choices. If you let them know if you're looking for something that's very safe and easy drinking, or if you want something that's a little bit more risky and, interesting, that's a huge help to us. Also, if you let us know what brew method you're using, or how you prefer your coffee, or even what coffee you've liked in the past, or even disliked in the past, all of that information is hugely helpful to us, and we can help you make a good choice for your coffee. As well as that, there's a QR code in the front. If you click on the QR code, it'll bring you to a page with far too much information about that coffee, maybe even a video. So all of that will help you make a choice that's good for you.